Rough. Is all you got? It was so worth it.
Name's Cody St. Clair. I drive the 4561 4500 car for Team SCR Texas. First started racing quads when I was 4, and then got out of that when I was 9. And then dirt right came around and I had a YJ, and then we built that, and that's when we started racing off-road. Racing the YJ, we knew we'd build another car, so everything from the YJ would transfer over to a newer chassis, which is this one. It took about a year or so to fully build and to have race ready, and we've been racing it for about 3-4 years now. The first year I raced KOH was in the YJ before we built this new car, and stayed until about 3 in the morning finishing it, and made it a quarter mile before the shock came apart. We're half a mile from 2B, and we lost front diff and rear drive shaft. KOH 2019, we had the new car a year now, making updates and all that, and we were on our way almost to 2 again, and on Sunbonnet we lost front and rear diffs and piggybacked all the way back to camp after the race was over. So this year we, did the same thing, prep-wise and strategy-wise, and this year we made some more upgrades to our front housing and all that. And this year I think our cards just fell in the right place and we were able to finish. When we first started racing, our first ever sponsor was Dave's Off-Road out of Pennsylvania, and he was really our only sponsor up until about 2 or 3 years ago. The tires that are on the car now are a new tire they just came out with this last SEMA, the Discovery ST Maxes. They're the same sidewall design with a different tread and a softer compound.
Rough. Is all you got? It was so worth it.
Mark Klingel, co-driver for Cody St. Clair in the 4561. It all started just doing plain old rock crawling, going up to Oklahoma and hitting out up at the A&A Motel and going and crawling out there with the old guys from Texas Rock Crawlers. And just used to go up there and bounce around on the rocks. Met Bird out there, and he brought his son along. Shoot, Cody was probably 12 or 13 at that time. It was a long, long time ago. We just kind of clicked and started playing with going a little bit faster up the trails, and then came along and found the Dirt Riot series and figured, why not? Let's see what we can do. And put together the YJ, bolted in some seats, some harnesses, built the cage, and just started going from there. Improved that YJ over the years, and Cody ended up winning nationals a few times in the Dirt Riot series, and we figured why not, and stepped it up to Ultra 4 and raced the YJ here for 2 years in Ultra 4, just one year. And then, like Cody said, we got together with Tribe and Adam over there, and they put our chassis together that we liked, and we ended up putting the rest of it together, and this is what you see. Job as a co-driver, support, a lot of driver support. All the navigation, trying to keep the car together on the trails, got to push him to go further, push him to go faster, you know, trying to keep his head in the right spot, and this year all the cards laid out right for us. We had a shock issue before we hit pit 1 this year, blew out the driver rear shock, so we were kind of limping through the desert, but once he got in those rocks, that's where he really shines, and we started passing people left and right, and taking different shots and different trails, and the kid can crawl better than anybody I know. I think the craziest one is we were in Dirt Riot and we were running the YJ, and we had just put our first set of coilover shocks on, and we went across the tabletop and we landed hard. That shock shot right through the hood. And Cody just kind of was like, what? I looked at him and I was like, well, I guess we're going in. The shock's hanging out. Hood was all crumpled up to the side, and we limped right in. That same race, we went in, got it all strapped back together. Same tabletop, came down and squashed that oil pan, and it was bleeding oil all over the place, and he drove the wheels right off of it. We crossed the finish line, still came in.
Shut down just a minute. So I got Cody St. Clair down here. What's going on? Why the ship's cut off? We're not able to ship out in second. So when you're hitting the rocks, so do you have first and second, or just first and second? That's all we got. No power control reverse. Oh, no reverse going rocks. That's gonna be tough. So what you can right now? Check the fluids or check the leakage. So it could just be leakage issues or something. All right. I'm gonna let you get to it.
This one was last year when we caught fire. That was a real tough one. That was a real tough one. The fuel line had backed off, and we didn't know. And we were going, and what it had done is it had backed off, and basically it filled the belly pan with fuel. And we were just trucking along, coming up. We were in Tennessee. And we hit the bottom of a hill to hit it, to bump, to shoot up it. When we hit, all the fuel shot forward and shot out the front of the grill, and when it caught fire, and shot back inside. And just trying to get out of the car safe, and getting fire extinguishers going, and that was a tough one. Next moment, co-driving with Cody, sitting on that stage over there. At the very end of KOH 2020, we finally made it. You know, we hit that last tabletop right before we come through the finish line. That was something special. That was amazing.
Rough. Is all you got? It was so worth it.
My name is Anthony St. Clair, known as Bird. I'm co-owner of the car with Mark Klingel and Cody St. Clair. We split the cost on our racing, so that helps us afford and do what we do. I guess you could say I'm the lead mechanic, the fabricator, the welder, the fixer, the fireman, the fixer. When it comes into the pit, I'm the guy that, you've got to think fast. How can we fix this? How can we get through what's going on to get back on the road or back in the race very quickly, time allowed. It is my job, of course with Cody and Mark too, we all work on the car, but my job is I get off work, I spend the hour here, hour there, every waking moment you can think of, especially the month before KOH, and I'm under the car, in the car, so I know this car in and out, very detailed. When we picked up this chassis from Tried 4x4, Adam Shear's group, it was a rolling chassis, so we did everything after that. We put the car together, we placed the power steering pump, reservoir, we did all that, so we know this car in and out 100%. Cody does the tuning on the car. He's kind of the specialist on that because he knows how that feels driving wise. So that's kind of our role and my role in what we do with this race team. I am very emotional about this racing. Very emotional about my son. So Cody came to me and said, Dad, he was about 13, he said, I really don't want to race quads anymore. It's just, I just don't like it anymore. So, okay. So I said, let's get into rock crawling. Let's build some rock crawlers. And that's when we met Mark. I had a rig called the Gila Monster, and then Cody ended up working one summer for me and Mark actually on a big project and made enough money to buy his own rig. So he bought, for $3,000, he bought a rock crawler that was already kind of built. We did a bunch of upgrades, and that's what we ended up racing later, was the 94 YJ. Won the national championship. He won first place every race but one race. And those races were Colorado, they were everywhere. He won, I think it was 4 series championships, as well as the national championship. One of the epic races was Dirt Ride his second year. They were leading the race. They radioed in, car died, the master switch broke in half. So I said, okay, undo the one side, jump it over to the other side, just make it a complete connection, no switch. So later on I hear that Mark's riding on the hood, riding on the hood, tightening everything up while Cody's driving. And then and then they stop, Mark gets in, buckles up, Mark radios, okay, where are we at? You're in last place. They've all come back through the pits. He goes, that's all I needed to know. Next thing you know, here comes Cody flying through, nothing on the pits, keep going, catches everybody back, passes back to win that Dirt Ride national race and podium, first place, with a big old trophy. That was epic. Most scariest part was hearing your son was on fire. You know, I called Dave with the race organization on the radio. He shut the race down. Made sure Cody was okay. Cody ended up walking out and got him straight to EMS, straight to the emergency room. 3 surgeries later, skin grafts. You know, his first race back, he told me, I'm scared, but I'm anxious to get back in the car. And he did. He's come back 100%. I do a lot of praying. God, please just let them be safe. Let the car finish. You know, we don't ask for first, we ask for a finish. And and you may see a video later that you'll see me with my hand on the car. I'm doing a little prayer. That's how we were brought up. So, sitting in the pit, I sit, I wait, I sit, and I wait. And if anybody knows KOH out here, communications is very sketchy. You might get a blip once in a while, but one thing we started last year, we have a SATCOM messaging device that Mark has one in the car, I have one, so if there's actual emergency or something critical, we can communicate.
Rough. Is all you got? It was so worth it.
How'd it go?
You know, these Cooper tires, they did amazing out there on the rocks and the sand. I wouldn't have picked a better tire.
What was the toughest part about the course? That you in your mind?
Spooners. Never been there. Never made it that far.
How'd the car handle?
Oh, it handled as we would have expected, minus some mechanical failures, which is gonna happen in a race like this. So,
How about your partner over there? How'd he do?
Oh, he did amazing. Without him, I don't know how I would have got through those rocks.
Glad to still be in the car.
Yeah.
So give me some shout out about your sponsors.
One, Cooper Tires, you know, they've helped us out immensely.
Not a single flat today.
Not a single flat, not a single problem. Full throttle batteries. You know, without them, the car wouldn't run at all. And it's such an amazing battery, AGM style. Our silent partner, our sponsor, Texas Dog Body Salon. My mom, she doesn't get the recognition that she deserves, but she does so much for this race team.
Give me a shout out for the King of Hammers, and what do you think?
Woo! It's named the hardest race, one-day race for a reason, and there's nothing else that I think could stand up to it.
Obviously, you're happy what you accomplished here.
Yes. After
How happy are you?
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years not finishing, we finally finished in quarters.
Another big shout out to Tribe.
Tribe 2, yes.
A lot of help today. We really appreciate them.
You got it, boy. Good job, guys.
It's all about this man right now. Cody Sinclair, how are you? I'm feeling amazing right now.
Fantastic. We've been watching your story all day unfolding out on the big screens. What was it like there in those trails?
Tough, as expected, but well worth it in the finish.
Fantastic. Have you raced here before?
The last 5 years, and never finished.
This is what I'm getting at. I know you've raced here, but I've never seen you at this place. Right here, right now. And I'd like to say, welcome to Hammertown, Cody Sinclair.
Thank you so much.
So tell us, what's been going on out there? You had any problems?
We came back in to remote one the second time, and we couldn't shift out of first and second. So we made it all the way back to main, not having reverse or neutral, shifting from high to low.
Wow, that's hard work.
Yeah, it was.
That would explain some of the stuff that we've been watching on the screens today. We've been watching you picking and choosing lines and getting all kind of hooked up. Now we know why. The story unfolds.
Yeah, it was one of the most stressful points in the race, but like I said, it's well worth it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's have a word with that man next to you. How was your day?
It was bumpy up there, but I'm glad to still be in the car.
Did he make you get out very often?
More than I wanted to, but you know that's how it goes. I'm still glad to be in the car. We're crossing the finish line for the first time.
Fantastic. Now, I'm sure you've got a load of people that you need to say thank you to.
First off, Cooper Tires didn't have a single flat today, all the way through the race. Torco, they came on right before it came out here, and all their fluids kept all the vital components nice and cool with no problems. Dave's off-road, he helps us out more than we ever realized he would. And then full throttle, one of the most badass batteries we've ever had in this car. And then Chris's Doggone Salon, one of our silent sponsors. Mom does so much for this team that she doesn't get recognized for. So,
Have you got some friends and family you'd like to thank as well?
Dad, he is the only one really running during the race. Minus help from other teams, but he's like so.
Wow, that's very impressive. That takes a lot of heart to do that.
It really does, and I wouldn't have passed. Good job!
That's what Hammers is all about. That's what all of this is about. It's about family. It's about racing. Do you want to say a few words, big man?
Oh man. Worst part is getting to the pits and not knowing what's going on. Thank you to Grandma in Texas. We've been using a Garmin app, satellite. Every mile marker she was sending updates, so I knew exactly where he was. So we did good.
So let me get this right. You've got someone in Texas telling you where Cody is.
Yes, to a Garmin satellite phone. That's what you're bleeping right now.
Ah, that was the thing on the start of the stage a minute ago. Right, okay, all makes sense. Well, Cody Sinclair, I am so pleased to tell you that you are an official finisher at the 2020 4-Wheel Pass Everyman Challenge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everyone's Cody Sinclair.
Week prior to King of Hammers, we were kind of still buttoning the car up and getting the trailer ready, do some little testing tuning. I was sleeping very little that week because it was just getting everything done. Cody,
Cody, you're going to school, right?
No, I'm actually done with school, but I was coming home from work 7 o'clock at night, staying up until about 11, working on the car as well.
Mark, what were you doing?
I unfortunately have been stuck out of town with work. Leaned on these guys quite a bit this prep season. Came to help rebuild the shocks when I was in town for a little bit, but that's been my extent of it this year.
Shocks building always epic for us because we get really dirty and oily.
It's definitely an event.
And then you get in the truck, you head here on what day?
We left
Thursday, mid-morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything drastic happen on the way here?
Nice, easy ride.
Lots of fan blade.
Fan blade decided to take a flight off the fan in the radiator in the truck.
Coming right up the Hammer, up to the Johnson Valley.
Yeah.
So we've got to change that this afternoon to go home.
And then you get here, you get your tent, and you get here, you get in your tent,
Let's
Pull the car in. What we got?
Okay, so speaking of the tent, this is our first year to have a tent, so we decided to do a 20 by 20. And my wife, who has a dog grooming business that she started 4 or 5 years ago and has been very successful, she stepped up and said, I will sponsor your tent. So that's why she's on the hood. She got on the hood for KOH, Doggone It, Texas Dog Grooming Shop, salon. And so she's kind of a quiet backdoor supporter, but of course being her son, that's, you know, but she is the one that took care of her sons. And this tent was a lifesaver. You'll hear later on how we had to change this transmission. 70-mile-an-hour wind outside. It was cold, horrific outside. We had a heater going in here, so this tent saved our life. It was, like Mark would say, it's a game changer.
Cool. And then you get the car out the trailer. You head out to go shock tune, just test drive and make sure you're happy with the desert. What happens?
Yes.
So we went out to go run some whoops and see how the car was doing, see if we need to make any changes to the shocks. And we head out there, car's doing fine. And we stopped to turn around and the car wouldn't go back into first gear. So we brought it back and we started messing with it. And then we made the ultimate decision to completely tear the car down and pull the transmission.
And what day was that?
That was Sunday. And then we had the transmission back, rebuilt, and had back in the car 30 minutes before qualifying.
On Monday.
Yeah. We had a rebuilt transmission back in our hands at 1:15. We had to qualify at 4.
Right, and our goal, because we made the power hour begin this year, our goal is for our sponsors to be in power hour. Whether the car would run with a darn or not, the car was going to be at power hour. Whether we had first gear or nothing, it was going to be there at least for power hour, because that's part of our payback to our sponsorships, to be on that part of the qualifying is the power hour.
Okay. You get the transmission put back together, get everything put back together 30 minutes before qualifying. You go out and qualify. You two talk about the qualifying course, if you had any prep on it, and then tell us how the whole qualifying went.
So we got the transmission in about 30 minutes before qualifying started for us for power hour, and we have had 0 seat time in it. No pre-running of the qualifying track, absolutely nothing.
No shock tuning?
No, nothing. We got it to shift gears, and that's when we decided to go qualify.
And Cody, you were on the computer a little bit.
Yeah.
So you do all the engine tuning, correct?
Yeah, the minimal stuff.
Gotcha. So you get to the start line, and what's the last words you guys say to each other?
I don't even remember.
I said good luck.
Give her hell and
do our best.
Yep.
So where'd you end up qualifying, and where'd you end up qualifying at a how big of a field?
We ended up qualifying 62nd, if I remember right, out of 120 cars.
Sweet, so mid pack, which is where a lot of people want to be.
Yeah.
So after that, you come back. What happens next after qualifying?
We shook the car down, crawl under it. We dropped the oil pan. We changed all our fluids. We put the Torco race oil in. Changed transmission fluid.
Topped
off the differentials. Changed motor oil. We change motor oil every race. Fresh oil every race. Fresh oil filter. So we just did some preventive stuff, some busy work on the car just to prep it. We changed spark plugs. What else did we do to it? Spark plugs. Check the spark plug boots. Make sure the wires were good. Nothing burnt. You know, in this type of racing, the littlest thing can take you out. The simplest bolt, the simplest screw, a pin, can take you out, because these cars get beat up. I mean, man, I'd hate to see, you know, what a person's internals look like bouncing around in this stuff, let alone car parts.
So race day comes around, and you guys start at 62nd. You two talk about the race. tell us what some of the most. Let's go back with the most epic moments, the scariest moments, the letdowns, the cool things, and everything like that.
I think one of the scarier moments of yesterday's race was when the transmission wasn't shipped out of first and second. Just having that feeling that the transmission that just had been rebuilt is now junk again because something internally failed already.
We pulled into the first pass on pit 1, or no, second pass, and was that 50, 60 miles into the race?
Yeah.
And we went ahead and splashed a 5-gallon can, and that's when he found that we couldn't get into reverse, neutral, first gear, any of it. It was physically jammed into first and second.
And then I get the radio call at pit 2B from them that it won't shift. And the radio interference and everything is so bad, I'm not able to broadcast to them, but I can hear them. And I'm on the radio saying, check the shifter pin, check the linkage pin. He can't hear me saying that, but they're telling me what's going on, so that was rough. I was at pit 2, or 2A, I guess, or 2B, 2A. So I'm stuck there, and I can't help them. So that makes even more difficult for us.
Right. I'm mainly just using this for the mic, by the way. So you're sitting in pit 1, the main pit, and
so we make the decision to leave pit 1 with only those 2 gears.
And what I heard was we're going to limp it in.
We're going to do what we can to get it there, and that's all I can keep telling Cody. Don't get in a position where we got to back up.
Yeah.
If we got to back up, we're pretty much out of luck. He did a good job, man. He got into those rocks, crawled around, made passes on people, up and down, in and out. And we scooted back in here to the tribe pit, and Ryan, Lance, and all of his guys with Adam and Matt, they all got up underneath the car, started helping. We dropped all the pans that we needed to. And I believe the guy's car number was 4669. I never got his name. Thank you very much.
Little guy.
He was kind of a small guy, but he dove right in there, head underneath the dash, upside down, started working on doing whatever he could to help us get back in the race.
It's Dawson's dad. Abe said came from next to him.
Okay.
Because I was on camper last night and said, I'll cut what I'm telling you out right now. But anyway, okay, so go from there.
Well, they got that fixed, and then me not knowing it, then I get a text from Grandma back in Texas. Cody's left the pit, car's fixed, headed back out. So, I mean, what better news can you get? And then Dave's Off-Road, our sponsor, even then texted us and said, hey, the guys are fixed. They're on thing. Thank you for the TV spot, because Miles actually came up and interviewed Cody. And Dave's Off-Road got a nice little shot on screen of his stuff, so he was happy with that.
Cool. And then you guys hauled ass back in the desert for lap 2.
Yep.
And
With a blown shock. That was all the only problem we had was a blown shock. Driver rear. And every time we hit a bounce, every time we hit a whoop, it would scoot the butt end around. And he drove as fast as he could with it, and kept the car on its wheels. Can't ask for anything better than that.
so, coming down, after you got out of Spooners, the only obstacle you had in between the finish line and Spooners was back door. What were you telling Cody?
So funny thing about that, we come out of Spooners, all we've got left is back door and resolution. We hit the bottom coming out of Spooners, hit some desert, and he puts his hand up, and I said, not yet, and I put it back down. We got in there, and I told him as soon as we got in the back door, I said, I don't care how hard this thing hurts, make sure it doesn't go on its lid. Just keep it on the wheels, and we're there. And he did. He had a smooth run through back door. I mean, not even a stop. We didn't even slow down.
Not a bounce.
Just boom, boom, boom. We're in and out. Smooth as you could be. We hit the bottom, and that's when I started hitting him in the head. Bam, bam, bam. We're there, we're there.
Oh, cool. So, you finished KOH for the first time ever for you guys.
Ever. 4 years.
4 years. And I made a joke to you. I said the only reason you hadn't finished KOH is because you had to have a beer across that. crossing that
The
stage.
legal age.
What was going through your head when you passed that? When you hit that checkered flag, turned around, and you ended up meeting the media that wanted to interview you? What was your thought? What was going through your thought process?
Sheer excitement.
Yeah.
One of the opportunities that not a lot of people get to have finishing a race like this.
Cool. And what was going through your head, Mark?
Everybody that has helped support us to get to here. You know, my wife Amanda, mom and dad, his Anthony and Jan, and
All our family.
all of his family, everybody that's helped us support us. You know, all of our sponsors. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, we got one guy that's actually not here. Grandpa, my dad Terry. He helps with the driving a lot of times on long trips. He comes. He just kind of hangs out, helps where he can with tires. He's by trade a master aircraft welder. Man's a phenomenal welder, and he helps with that sometimes. And does stuff, and at 76 or so years old, he's still pretty active. He gets out here, he'll change a tire, spin the lug nuts off. But he's not here. He made the choice not to come this year because it is a pretty hectic race. So the option to stay home and watch it on TV. So, but,
Cool. Well, other than that, talk about who you want to thank that maybe aren't sponsors. Who would you like? Mom, dad, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think we've already kind of covered all that.
let's just talk about where maybe you want to go in the future.
Yeah, what's your future plan? That's a good idea.
I mean, our future plan is to step up next year. There's a couple of things we want to, we need definitely more power under the hood. Like the Sand Hill is a big obstacle for us. We just don't have. We basically have just a mildly built stock LS1 motor. I mean, we want to go to a 416 or 408 stroker. And that takes money, so it's things that we have to plan for and work, upgrade our transmission maybe to a race case type, rear sheet metal axle. We want to upgrade that at some point. So it's just things that, and then keep racing. I know Cody has mentioned to me several times, maybe we want to try some desert racing, maybe a small Baja race, or we're looking at maybe some of that stuff in the future. Not just Ultra 4, but expand our racing